Have you ever wondered why your circulation doesn't respond the way it used to? Why what once came naturally now feels uncertain? You're not alone in this, and more importantly, you're not broken. Something fundamental has shifted in your vascular chemistry. For most men over 50, this shift happens quietly, gradually, without explanation. But here's what matters most. When you understand what's changed, you can support it. And when you support it properly, your body responds again. Well, I'm Dr. Naraya Wolf, urologist and pelvic surgeon. And if you ever face questions or concerns about your urological health, stay with us. We're here to help you understand your body with clarity and comfort. Today, I want to share something that surprises most of my patients. Your declining circulation isn't about willpower or desire. It's about chemistry. Specifically, it's about how your blood vessels respond to pH changes and oxygen availability. And there's a way to support this chemistry naturally, affordably, and safely, using two common household ingredients that most men already have in their kitchen. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly what happens to your vascular system after 50. I'll walk you through why blood flow becomes less reliable, and I'll show you how understanding one simple biochemical principle can help restore the responsiveness you thought was gone forever. By the end, you'll understand why this matters. You'll know how to use this knowledge, and most importantly, you'll feel more in control of your own health. Let's begin. Let me start by explaining what's actually happening inside your blood vessels, because once you see the biology clearly, everything else makes sense. Your blood vessels are lined with a thin, delicate layer of cells called the endothelium. Think of these cells as the control center for your entire circulation system. When they're healthy and functioning well, they produce a molecule called nitric oxide. You may have heard of it. This molecule signals your blood vessels to relax and expand, allowing blood to flow freely wherever your body needs it. When you were younger, your endothelial cells produced nitric oxide efficiently and abundantly. Your blood vessels responded quickly to physical demands. Blood flow increased easily during exercise, during arousal, during any moment your body required more circulation. It felt effortless, natural, dependable. But after age 50, several biological changes begin to accumulate. First, your endothelial cells become less efficient at producing nitric oxide, not because you've done something wrong, but because the natural aging process affects cellular function. These cells experience more oxidative stress. They repair themselves more slowly, and they simply don't produce the same volume of nitric oxide they once did. Second, your blood vessels themselves become less responsive. The smooth muscle cells that control dilation, the opening and closing of your vessels, require energy to function. As you age, these cells produce less ATP, the cellular energy that powers every biological process. Less energy means weaker dilation, and weaker dilation means reduced blood flow, even when nitric oxide is present. Third, and this is the part most men never learn about, your body's pH balance shifts. As you get older, your tissues become slightly more acidic, not dangerously so, but enough to interfere with nitric oxide production. Your endothelial cells are extremely sensitive to pH. When acidity rises even a little, they struggle to produce nitric oxide effectively. And when nitric oxide drops, blood flow decreases. Now add in the real-world factors that compound these changes. Stress, poor sleep quality, medications, elevated blood pressure, lower testosterone levels, reduced physical activity, all of these increase inflammation and acidity in your vascular system. All of these make it harder for your blood vessels to respond the way they used to. This is why so many men tell me, Dr. Wolf, the desire is still there, but my body doesn't respond anymore. And I always tell them the same thing. It's not about desire. It's not about you failing. It's about vascular chemistry that needs support. During intimacy, your body needs to rapidly increase blood flow. It needs to maintain that blood flow steadily. And it needs the energy and stamina to sustain physical activity without fatigue setting in too early. But when acidity builds up faster than your body can neutralize it, when nitric oxide production can't keep pace with demand, your response weakens. The moment becomes harder to maintain. Confidence fades. This is the reality of aging. But here's what gives me hope as a physician. When you understand this chemistry, you can work with it, you can support it, And when you do, circulation improves, responsiveness returns, your body starts feeling more like it used to. Now that you understand what's changing, let me explain why pH matters so much for blood flow. Your blood vessels operate within a very narrow pH range. When your blood and tissues are at the optimal pH, slightly alkaline, your endothelial cells produce nitric oxide efficiently. Blood vessels relax easily. Circulation flows smoothly. Everything works the way it should. But when your pH shifts toward acidity, even by a small amount, nitric oxide production drops significantly. It's like trying to start a car with a weak battery. The engine might turn over, but it won't run smoothly. Your blood vessels might dilate a little, but not enough to create strong, sustained blood flow. Here's what happens during physical activity, including intimacy. Your muscles burn fuel, glucose, and oxygen to generate energy. This process creates metabolic waste products, lactate, hydrogen ions, carbon dioxide. All of these increase acidity in your tissues and bloodstream. The more intense the activity, the faster acidity builds up. In younger men, the body clears this acidity quickly. Their buffering systems are robust. Their cells recover rapidly. But after 50, your natural buffering capacity weakens. Acidity accumulates faster than your body can neutralize it. And as acidity rises, nitric oxide production falls, blood flow decreases, fatigue sets in earlier. The physical response becomes inconsistent. This is why many men experience what feels like sudden fatigue during intimacy. Their mind is engaged, their desire is present, but their body can't maintain the physical response. It's not psychological, it's biochemical. The acidity has overwhelmed their system's ability to produce and maintain nitric oxide. Now here's where understanding becomes power. If you can support your body's pH balance, if you can help buffer rising acidity, you can maintain nitric oxide production. And when nitric oxide stays elevated, blood vessels stay open. Blood flow remains strong, stamina improves, responsiveness feels natural again. This is exactly what certain compounds can do. They work as pH buffers, neutralizing acidity as it builds up. They create the alkaline environment your endothelial cells need to produce nitric oxide efficiently. And they do this without medications, without prescriptions, without anything artificial. But here's the critical insight. Buffering pH is only half the solution. Because even with optimal pH, you still need to address oxidative stress, red blood cell flexibility, and cellular energy production. And that's where the second part of this approach becomes essential. Let me explain what I mean by walking through the complete biochemical pathway. When your pH is balanced, your endothelial cells can produce nitric oxide. But nitric oxide is fragile. It's destroyed quickly by oxidative stress, the cellular damage caused by inflammation, stress, poor diet, and normal aging. In older men, oxidative stress is higher. This means nitric oxide gets destroyed almost as fast as it's produced. Your red blood cells also change with age. They become stiffer, less flexible. This makes it harder for them to squeeze through tiny capillaries to deliver oxygen to tissues. Less oxygen delivery means less energy production in the smooth muscle cells that control blood vessel dilation, and less energy means weaker, less sustained dilation. Finally, your cell's energy production system, the mitochondria, slows down with age. The smooth muscle cells in your blood vessel walls rely on ATP to contract and relax. When ATP production drops, these muscles can't maintain strong dilation. Blood flow becomes inconsistent. Firmness becomes harder to achieve and maintain. So the complete picture looks like this. You need pH balance to produce nitric oxide. You need protection from oxidative stress to keep nitric oxide stable. You need flexible red blood cells to deliver oxygen. And you need adequate ATP production to power blood vessel dilation. This is why a single approach, like just balancing pH, only gets you partway there. You need a comprehensive solution that addresses all these factors simultaneously. And surprisingly, there's a simple, natural way to do exactly that. Let me introduce you to something most men have never considered. 2 ordinary kitchen ingredients that, when combined properly, create a powerful support system for vascular function. The first is sodium bicarbonate, commonly known as baking soda. Most men think of it as something for baking or cleaning, but inside your body, it functions as a pH buffer. When you consume it, it neutralizes rising acidity in your bloodstream and tissues. This creates the alkaline environment your endothelial cells need to produce nitric oxide efficiently. Research shows that sodium bicarbonate improves physical performance, reduces fatigue, and enhances vascular capacity. Athletes have used it for decades to delay fatigue during intense exercise. The mechanism is simple. It buffers the acidity that builds up during exertion, allowing muscles to work harder and longer. For men concerned about circulation, this same buffering effect translates directly to better blood flow. When acidity is controlled, nitric oxide production increases, blood vessels dilate more easily, responsiveness improves. But here's what surprised me when I first learned about this. Sodium bicarbonate alone only addresses one part of the problem. It buffers pH beautifully, but it doesn't reduce oxidative stress. It doesn't improve red blood cell flexibility, and it doesn't directly boost cellular energy production. That's where the second ingredient comes in, and this is the part most men never expect. Citric acid, the same tart, sour powder used in cooking and preserving foods. When you mix citric acid with baking soda and water, something remarkable happens. They react chemically, producing carbon dioxide, the fizzing you see, and a new compound called sodium citrate. Sodium citrate is the key to everything. It's not just a byproduct, it's the active compound that transforms this simple mixture into a comprehensive vascular support system. First, sodium citrate protects nitric oxide from oxidative damage. It reduces the stress on your endothelial cells, allowing the nitric oxide they produce to survive longer and work more effectively. This means stronger, more sustained blood vessel dilation. Second, sodium citrate improves red blood cell flexibility. It makes these cells more pliable, allowing them to bend and squeeze through tiny capillaries more easily. This dramatically increases oxygen delivery to tissues. Better oxygen means better energy production, better stamina, and better vascular response. Third, and this is fascinating, sodium citrate feeds directly into your cell's energy production cycle, the citric acid cycle, also called the Krebs cycle. This is the fundamental pathway your mitochondria use to generate ATP. More ATP means your smooth muscle cells can sustain stronger dilations longer. This translates to better firmness and easier maintenance. Finally, the leftover bicarbonate that doesn't react continues to buffer pH. So you get the best of everything: pH support, nitric oxide protection, improved oxygen delivery, and enhanced energy production. All from two simple, inexpensive powders that cost less than a few dollars. This is why the combination works so much better than either ingredient alone. Baking soda creates the right environment. Citric acid transforms the chemistry. Sodium citrate amplifies every beneficial effect. Together, they address every major factor limiting vascular function in older men. Now, before I explain how to use this, let me walk you through exactly what happens in your body after you drink this mixture. Because understanding the timing is just as important as understanding the chemistry. Timing matters more than most men realize. If you've ever wondered why some approaches work for some men but not others, it usually comes down to timing and dosing, not the method itself. When you drink this mixture, your body moves through several predictable stages. In the first few minutes, the reaction between baking soda and citric acid continues in your stomach. The bicarbonate begins buffering acidity almost immediately. Your blood pH starts shifting slightly toward alkaline. This signals your endothelial cells that conditions are improving for nitric oxide production. Around 15 to 25 minutes after drinking it, nitric oxide levels begin to rise. You might notice a subtle warmth in your hands, feet, or chest. Some men describe it as a gentle awakening of circulation. Nothing dramatic, just a quiet sense that blood is flowing more freely. By 30 to 45 minutes, the sodium citrate has been absorbed into your bloodstream. This is when the real synergy begins. Oxidative stress decreases. Red blood cells become more flexible. Smooth muscle cells start producing more ATP. Your entire vascular system becomes more prepared, more responsive. Between 45 and 60 minutes, most men reach what I call the readiness window. This is when all the mechanisms align. Better nitric oxide production, better endothelial function, improved oxygen delivery, higher cellular energy. This is the optimal time for intimacy because your body can increase blood flow quickly and maintain it without early fatigue. The effects typically peak between 60 and 90 minutes. This is when men often notice faster arousal, stronger firmness, and easier maintenance. Nothing feels forced, nothing feels artificial, it simply feels like your body is responding naturally again, the way it used to years ago. Here's the critical point. If you take this mixture right before intimacy, you won't get these results. Your body needs that 45 to 60-minute window to adjust pH, stabilize nitric oxide, and energize the vascular system. Plan accordingly. Now let's talk about the actual formula. This is where most men make mistakes. Too much causes bloating. Too little doesn't create enough sodium citrate. The wrong ratio won't produce the desired effect. The ideal ratio is roughly 2 parts baking soda to 1 part citric acid. For a single serving, I recommend starting with 3 grams of baking soda and half a gram to 1 gram of citric acid. These amounts might sound small, but they're sufficient to create the biochemical changes we want without overwhelming your digestive system. Here's how to prepare it properly. Take a glass with 8 to 12 ounces of water. Add both powders. You'll see immediate fizzing. That's the carbon dioxide being released as sodium citrate forms. Let it bubble for a moment, then stir gently. You don't need to wait for all the fizzing to stop, just until it's comfortable to drink. The taste is mildly salty and slightly tart. Most men find it much easier to drink than they expect. If you want to improve the flavor, add a small splash of lemon juice or diluted fruit juice. This is optional. Drink it on an empty stomach, or at least 1 hour after eating. This helps your body absorb the compounds efficiently and reduces the chance of bloating or digestive discomfort. Start with a smaller dose if you've never used baking soda before. See how your body responds. Most men tolerate it easily, but everyone's system is different. You can gradually increase toward the higher end of the range over time. Now let me address safety, because even though these are natural ingredients, they affect your body chemistry, and you need to use them responsibly. Baking soda contains sodium. A 3-gram serving provides roughly 100 to 120 milligrams of sodium, about half the daily recommended limit for most adults. If you're on a low-sodium diet, if you have uncontrolled high blood pressure, or if your doctor has told you to watch sodium intake carefully, you need to consult your healthcare provider before using this. Some men experience mild bloating or gas when they first try baking soda, especially if taken too soon after meals. This is why I recommend drinking it on an empty stomach. Letting the mixture fizz before drinking also helps. It releases carbon dioxide in the glass instead of your stomach. Citric acid is extremely safe. It's used in countless foods, beverages, and supplements. The amount we're using is tiny, well within normal dietary levels. It rarely causes any digestive issues, and mixing it with baking soda actually makes the final drink gentler on your stomach than baking soda alone. One important note: men with chronic kidney disease, heart failure, or severe fluid retention need to be very careful with sodium intake. If you have any of these conditions, please talk to your doctor before trying this approach. For everyone else, this mixture is low risk, straightforward, and well tolerated. Most men feel completely normal aside from the improved circulation within an hour of drinking it. Most men think of this as a short-term boost, something to use before intimacy, and yes, it works powerfully in the moment. But what surprises my patients is how beneficial this becomes when used consistently over time. Because you're not just creating a temporary effect, you're actually supporting the long-term health and responsiveness of your entire vascular system. Regular pH support and reduced oxidative stress help your endothelial cells function more like they did when you were younger. They repair themselves more effectively. They produce nitric oxide more consistently. Over weeks and months, your baseline vascular health improves. The improved red blood cell flexibility means better oxygen delivery, not just during intimacy, but all day long. Better oxygenation improves energy, mental clarity, and cardiovascular endurance. Supporting the citric acid cycle means your cells produce energy more efficiently. This translates to better stamina, faster recovery after exercise, and more stable physical performance. Many men who use this mixture a few times per week notice something unexpected. Their everyday circulation feels better. They feel warmer in their hands and feet. Their morning energy improves, and their intimate performance becomes more consistent, not just on the nights they use it, but overall. Why? Because they're not just fixing a problem temporarily. They're helping their vascular system heal, strengthen, and function the way it's designed to. And here's the beautiful part. This costs almost nothing. No expensive supplements, no prescriptions, just simple ingredients that work together to support healthier circulation. Before I close, I want to leave you with this thought. Your body isn't broken, your masculinity isn't fading, your desire is still there. Most of the struggle comes down to blood flow, chemistry, and a vascular system that needs support after years of stress and aging. When you understand your chemistry, you can work with it instead of against it. This combination isn't magic, it's science. It's physiology. It's giving your blood vessels the environment they need to relax, open, and stay responsive. If you decide to try this, do it intentionally. Use the right ratio. Give your body the full 45 to 60 minutes. Start small if you're sensitive to sodium. Listen to your body. It will tell you what works. And remember, you're not just doing this for intimacy. You're doing this for your long-term vascular health, your energy, and your vitality. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'm Dr. Naraya Wolf, and I hope this helps you feel more informed, more empowered, and more in control of your health. If you have questions or want me to cover other men's health topics, leave a comment. I read everything, and I answer as many as I can. Take care of yourself. You're worth it.